Welcome. I am Matt Chieco from Pop Horror Movie Podcast, and we are expanding our YouTube presence. So I'm going to be on here doing some reviews, doing some breakdowns, stuff like that. So this is the first one. It's unfortunate that this movie is the first review I'm doing, and it was also unfortunate that this was the first movie I saw in 2022. But today we are talking about The 355. Jessica Chastain, Lupita Nyong'o, Penelope Cruz, Diane Kruger, Fan Bingbing. I mean, there's literally 2 Oscars and there's 4 Oscar nominations between these people. You think it would be good. But I should have known 2 things. It's in January. I should have just known that it was going to suck. And when I looked right before seeing the movie, I was like, let me see the Rotten Tomato score. And it was rotten. Never a good sign. I was like, you know what? It's going to be different. It's going to be better. Because the trailer was so good. But we're gonna talk about it. This is a spoiler alert, so if you don't, are you seeing it? I'm not sure. Leave it in the comments. It is spoiler alert, so just beware. This movie, they were trying to be James Bond. I just don't get it. Because it didn't do it. It wasn't James Bond. The story was weak. The story was generic and bland, and it didn't make you feel for anyone. One, it didn't make you want to root for anyone, which is a problem because this whole movie is about rooting for the main female characters. The only thing I think it did right going into this movie, I was like, usually a female driven story, for some reason Hollywood has to have it. The studio executive likes to have this story kind of portrayed a lot. The women need a man, and this one didn't do that. And I actually was pretty surprised by it. They kind of started out just on their own. They were their own characters, and I love that. I thought that was I was impressed. I was like, oh, wow, they actually broke that mold that a lot of movies fall to. But then, the movie just fell apart from there. It had such a good idea. They broke that mold, and I was like, okay, great. But then the story was terrible. It wasn't good. It had so many plot holes. It was weirdly confusing because, and they even referenced James Bond in it. And I'm like, stop trying to be something. Do your own thing. You know what I mean? Just try that. It wasn't until the final battle where I was like, oh, damn, this is really good. The action was on point. They actually had consequences to it. And I was like, oh, wow, they almost killed all of their loved ones. And I was like, whoa. But then in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, wait, I don't care about any of them. So, this didn't mean anything. This could have been a huge moment in the movie. And if the whole movie was like this, where it was there's this consequence and, you're on the edge of your seat, it could have been great. But instead, they didn't do that. So, instead, they decided to do a typical action spy movie. And the action, while it was pleasant, it kept my interest, there wasn't enough of it. And it was all right. It wasn't until the last final scene in the hotel, I wasn't like, whoa, that's really cool. The cast, nothing wrong with them. Like I said before, there's so many Academy Award, Oscar nominations or wins between them that I was like, oh, wow, okay, it's a good cast. Penelope Cruz did absolutely nothing, again, until the third act. They literally just could have played the third act. Or they could have played the last final battle scene, and I would have been fine with it. It would have been much shorter, which it needed to be, and it would have been enjoyable. I think the story was so weak that even if you had Meryl Streep in it, she couldn't act her way out of this to make it seem like it was amazing. I think people were trying their best. I think it was more of a director problem. It's Simon Kinberg, so I should have known from there. He does not have the best track record. But, he has this movie, The 355. He's director and screenwriter. Not great. Dark Phoenix, director and screenwriter. Not great. He wrote X-Men Apocalypse. Not great. He wrote the 2015 Fantastic Four reboot. Garbage. Not great. And then here's where he kind of is why was this so different? He also wrote X-Men's Days of Futures Past and Sherlock Holmes with Robert Downey Jr. And those are great. So I'm like, why can't he take those things and put it into a movie he does? Because for some reason, studios keep giving him directing movies, and I think it's because he makes a movie that's not so bad that you want to leave the theater, but bad enough that it's bad. Because you see the trailer, it looks great. Dark Phoenix, the movie wasn't great, but the trailer looked pretty good from what I can remember. So it's They bring you in through the trailer. You say it's terrible, never come back. But they gave you your moolah. So maybe studios are like, oh, maybe they'll do that again. I don't know. It's truly an enigma. Like, it's truly a question I ask myself. Why do they keep giving him movies? Because it's not good. It's not good. And let's talk about the twist now, because I think these spy movies always need to have a twist, or like that's a thing that these movies, that this genre has. And maybe if they didn't and they just had a solid movie, it would have been different enough to be like, oh, wow, that's a good movie. But instead they had to fall back, like I said, generic tropes and all that. And the trailer gives the twist away. The trailer gives the twist away because, one, it's Sebastian Stan, who's the bad guy, sort of. You know why? It's because the CIA is corrupt, but so he becomes corrupt. I don't know. Apparently, this movie is trying to tell you that all the governments are corrupt. I mean, sure, you can say that, but it's like they said it in such like a one-line, throwaway line way that it was like, wait, what? What's happening? The trailer shows that he's in a lot of scenes. The beginning only shows them randomly having sex, which I thought was weird, and it shows him dying. So you're like, oh wait, he's supposed to be in the rest of the film because you've seen so many, and they're gonna cut Sebastian Stan, who's a very popular actor from the MCU. I don't think so. They kept trying to do like surprise things with the movie that were like mini twists, and it just didn't work. Like the staging of it, I'm like, this is weirdly staged. Something's about to happen. Oh, this is about to happen. Then that would happen. Oh, someone's about to get shot. Then they would get shot. So it was like, what? Like, what are you doing? Like, just, I feel like this movie, the concept, because like the end credits roll, and I'm like, are you kidding me? This could have been an amazing movie, yet you ruined it. And then they have the balls to set up a sequel. I'm like, who saw this and was like, keep that scene in? Was it me? I wouldn't have said that. If they would have kept it to the core three, Diane Kruger, Lupita Nyong'o, and Jessica Chastain, that could have worked. They could have all come to the mission together, fighting each other. They all were terrible spies, by the way. They were blowing everything up. They could have came together and did this and like maybe interacted with a couple people. Penelope Cruz could have been in a supporting role and been like, oh, like he's connected to this person. We need to talk to you for a little bit. Have a couple scenes. Cool. Fan Bingbing had a couple scenes. Cool, which is pretty much what she did, but they were teasing her as like a main person. And I think if they actually would have like stuck to what I feel like their core idea was and not have all this like spectacle and twist and all that, it could have been good. But instead they went that route, and that's why I got put in a January slot. It's a good laugh sometimes, so I guess if you want to laugh, go see it, but that's not the reason why they're making this movie, so I don't know. But if whoever saw the movie is watching, leave what you thought in the comments. I'm really curious, because like the Rotten Tomato score as of right now is pretty, if the audience score is pretty high, but it's only like 50 reviews. So I'm really curious where it's going to land because the critics do not like it. And I think a lot of people are going to be with the critics, except unless you like action movies. But it really wasn't, it was great at times, but then not great at times. So I would be love to see what everyone else thought. Make sure to check out the rest of our YouTube content. All of our actual podcast episodes are on here. And I'm going to be dropping some more stuff on YouTube. So please look out for that. Should I rate it? I guess I should rate it. I mean, we do it on the podcast, so let me rate it. I'm going to give this definitely a thumbs down. A 3, I guess. It really wasn't good. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure to click around our YouTube page, and I'll see you later. Cheers.